What's going on, guys? You're listening to episode 2 of the Mark and Graham podcast. Welcome to the lounge, everyone. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing good today. I'm happy to be back on air. We had a great episode last week. We really got things rolling, and the feedback was awesome. And we got some hot takes for you today. We got a lot of good football talk, a big baseball-heavy episode. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a lot of action in the MLB. Just to recap from last week, you got to really know me and Mark. You got to hear our clown of the day, mine being Brennan Miller, the umpire who threw Aaron Boone out of the game. We talked umpire ejections. We talked Cooperstown. We talked perfect games. We had our odd man out segment, and we're going to be bringing that back this week. Our odd man out segment's basically we're going to give you our top 5, and there's always that one odd man out at number 6. And then, as last week, you saw us talk about betting. We basically are here to, tell you guys who not to put your money on and who to put your money on. And we finished out with our Mark and Graham of the day. And Mark and Graham of the day it's an every week topic. And we basically just highlight people that you may not know or you didn't hear about them. And we just want to highlight their name a little bit. So we got a packed day coming for you. We're going to talk our clown of the days again. Does Tom Brady abuse his kids? I think so. We're going to talk baseball, and I'm going to bring on my buddy Nick, the baseball guru. He's from Marlboro, New Jersey. He goes to Rutgers. We're going to talk Stroman and Vargas, another odd man out section today, Mark. We're going to talk New York Giants, a little bit of Eagles, and we're going to end with our Mark and Graham of the day. So, Mark, let's get things rolling here and talk clown of the day. Who do you got?
All right, so most of our viewers out there, even if you don't pay attention to baseball, it's not your sport, you had to have seen a GIF somewhere over the past week over this Trevor Bauer shenanigans that went on in Cleveland. This man, if you watch the highlights of the game, it was like a little league softball game. The fielding was disgraceful. There were at least 10 errors, it felt like, in the first 5 innings of his start.
Now, if I may, that is, I will agree with you there. If you did watch the game, the Indians were not fielding the ball properly. Trevor Bauer had a complete reason to be upset because half of the runs that were, because of him were really because of his fielding. And, as a professional athlete on the trade block, there's a lot of emotions running through his head, like he doesn't know if he's going to get traded tomorrow. And to think that you're pitching for a team that wants to trade you, and then on top of that, your fielders aren't, doing their job. Mark, I don't know how you feel, but I think Trevor Bauer freaking out is a completely expected thing, and I didn't really think it was out of the ordinary.
Yeah, for anybody that didn't see, what happened is after all these errors, Trevor Bauer gets yanked from the game by Terry Francona, who, if we all know, he's a hothead of a manager. He's
Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame, no doubt. He's got a lot of charisma, and he walks out there, one of the most respected managers of all time.
One of the most respected managers of all time.
No doubt. And Trevor Bauer turns his back to him, takes his baseball, and just throws it over the center field fence.
I will say this. It was a great throw.
It was incredible, but it's just unbelievable. If he threw it right into the batter's eye, but if that goes into the stands, it could have taken somebody's eye out. Who knows? I just think anybody who watches baseball, you know that that's showing up your coach. And, Francona's response afterwards, it was, once again, just like Aaron Boone, language that we can't say on here.
You saw it. You knew exactly what he was saying.
What are you doing to me? And
I said, what's wrong with you? That's it.
To one of the most respected coaches of all time, you're going to show him up like that? It was bad.
But you could see how apologetic he was as soon as he did it.
No doubt.
And, I will say this. I think Terry Francona needs to lay off the McDonald's a little bit. You look at a picture of him now compared to what he was on the Red Sox. Sorry, Terry. I know you're getting old now, but you might want to hit the Weight Watchers a little bit.
He's getting a little chunky.
Yeah, so we're going to switch over to what's been giving me headaches and, has made me unable to sleep the past week. The Yankees pitching rotation. What's going on with them? Before the All-Star break, 4.22 ERA. It was the 12th best in the MLB. It wasn't that great, but, Betances isn't in, Severino's out. Our batting average against opposing teams we were giving up a 251 batting average, which is about, average in the MLB, and we were giving up and we gave up 82 home runs, which is 23rd in the MLB, which is okay. So not a great start, but after, I, I don't know what's going on with them. I think they're smoking the weed. 8.1 ERA. This is just starters. They're allowing a 315 batting average, which is last in the MLB. They've given up 28 home runs since the All-Star break, which is last in the major leagues. And the Yankees lost the first series since June 7th and June 9th versus the Indians. The Yankees have allowed 7+ runs in 7 straight games. It's the longest in franchise history. And we've had a long franchise. And the Yankees starting pitching in the last 8 games, 32 innings pitched, 53 earned runs, 14.9 ERA. Disgusting numbers. These numbers are the worst pitching numbers I've seen from the Yankees. Mark, you got to help me here. We really screwed up this free agency big time. We really screwed up the trade. We screwed up the trade deadline horribly.
You still have some time. I mean, losing out on Stroman, like we're going to touch on, that's going to hurt. But now I would like to ask, from a Yankees perspective, like I know for a fact, for a while, the baseball world has been talking about Severino's injury, and it kind of seemed, and Betances, it seemed like the Yankees had built such a big lead in the division that they were holding both of them out. And I truly believe the playoffs start tomorrow. You're going to have Severino on the mound, but they've been holding him out. And you're getting to a point where this rotation is struggling so badly that you got to start going, hey, Severino, hurry up. Because the Red Sox, that series against the Red Sox this past weekend was disgraceful. I mean, you got saved in Game 3 on Sunday, but the Red Sox, I mean, that's a team that if they get hot, they're going to be breathing down their neck, and the Yankees need Severino to counter that.
And, this is a Red Sox team that we pretty much saw last year that won the World Series. Andrew Benintendi, probably one of the best one of the best lefty hitters, one of the best raw hitters in the league, can go down and chase a slider, can go down and chase a curveball. You throw anything at Andrew Benintendi, he'll get it. You have Xander Bogaerts, who's a great contact hitter.
Best shortstop in the league. Right there.
All right, relax there. Jackie Bradley Jr., great in center field. And you know what? Took him a while to get his bat alive like he used to have. Mookie Betts, though, don't sleep. Mookie Betts, I know he isn't what he was last year, but Mookie Betts is incredible to watch. The man makes incredible plays. And the Red Sox have a great support, great infield. You have Michael Chavis at first base when he's there. Rafael Devers, who's an absolute monster at third base.
Our age.
He's literally our age. He can't even drink in America.
Wait a minute there, Graham. Are you becoming a Red Sox fan live on air?
Absolutely not. No, I'm giving credit where credit is due.
Because you're drooling over the Boston Red Sox.
Pitchers were good. I didn't say the pitchers were good. I said they have a great lineup. You're going to come to me and tell me that the Red Sox don't have a good lineup?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt about it. I think it goes hand in hand with the Yankees. Their bats can battle any given night. And that's a team that, even if the Yankees win the division, you don't want to see the Red Sox in the postseason. But I think the leg up that the Yankees have always had is their pitching, especially in the bullpen. And you're starting to see that even out, which is not a good sign for the Yankees.
Yeah, this is just, it's really weird to think that, J. Happ and, guys like James Paxton can come along and expect to just do great in the Yankees lineup. They are doing horrible. The first inning is a nightmare for Yankees pitchers. The first inning alone for the Yankees pitchers, they're giving up an ERA of 14-2, I think, in the first inning. And we saw that evident in the Red Sox series. Tanaka couldn't make it out of the first inning. Domingo Germán, he saved that last game for us, but he gave up 6 runs.
Yeah.
That Red Sox team doesn't give up, but a team that does give up is the Philadelphia Phillies, and it's been pretty evident that they're going to go sign a $330 million man, and they're probably not going to make the playoffs this season.
I mean, I don't think there's any more giving up move than trading for Jason Vargas, literally the Mets
third best.
You might as well have traded for their clubhouse trash can at that point. Like he is that bad. And I don't care. Like, yeah, he had a bounce back year compared to his last 3 years where he could barely. He was the sixth man in a Mets 6-man rotation because their starters couldn't stay healthy enough. He was the sixth man in that rotation. He was basically the odd man out, like our segment. And, and I just
aggravated, guys. We don't see this that often.
Dude, it's just, I mean, the Phillies, they had a series this past weekend against the Braves. Honestly, great baseball this weekend. Braves, Phillies, Yankees, Red Sox. It was a lot of good stuff to watch. But a Braves Phillies series at this point in the year, if they had swept somehow, I think it was 2.5 games back of the Braves, and they just went out there and got absolutely destroyed 2 of the games.
Hot take real quick. Don't be surprised if the Braves take down the Dodgers in the playoffs.
They're nasty. They are young, they have fun, and they can play.
So we're gonna move on here because we're gonna touch up a little bit on the trade deadline in a bit. Tom Brady, child abuser, or just a really, really unique cliff diving technique? Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, clown of the day. I mean, I could have picked a lot this week, and Brady was definitely up there. I had to go with Trevor Bauer, but Brady's definitely another clown move. And you can call it a hot take, but at this point in my life, Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. But I think he belongs in jail. Tom Brady belongs in jail.
For being too good?
What?
For being too good?
No, he has committed crimes throughout his career. I mean, you look at all of his.
Oh, all right. Listen.
I
hate Tom Brady. I hate Tom Brady as much as the next guy. But like the only thing he's done is kiss his kid on the lips. That's really the only thing that I've seen. But have you seen him throw a spiral, bro? It's beautiful. And I can't say, like, in my mind, Manning's the GOAT because he beat Brady twice. He beat the 17-0 Patriots. Like, I think Eli Manning's the GOAT. And I'll stand behind that. I respect Eli Manning. But we're not talking about the Giants right now. I think Brady did nothing wrong. I think this is everyone, using Tom Brady's platform to finally exploit him for something bad, as usual. That's just me.
Finally. Dude,
not finally.
There's no doubt he's the GOAT, but I look at Deflategate, I look at Spygate, everything, all the suspensions in the NFL.
You can argue Spygate.
Those are crimes in a huge organization, technically, that he got suspended for. I think those videos of him kissing his kids makes me uncomfortable. As a future parent, I hope I would never, ever, ever look at my kid that way, and it creeped me out. And then to jump off a cliff with your daughter and just drag her behind you. And like, if you watch that video, she is so close to cracking her head on one of those boulders. It is unbelievable. And it wasn't intentional, but if God forbid something happens, Tom Brady deserves to go down and be behind bars.
It's funny. The Robert Kraft had a little accident going down a few weeks ago at the massage parlor, but we're not going to talk about that today. Yeah. Fantasy. For the next 9 minutes, we're going to talk about our perfect fantasy lineups. Mark, in your mind, what makes a good fantasy lineup? Before you give us your lineup, what makes a lineup?
Yeah, so my dad had introduced me to fantasy football at a young age. I've always had a team, and he was doing it like long before computers were even a thought. He would each week get the daily newspaper and use all those stats to compile like a hand-only fantasy football league. So I've always been doing it, and I think fantasy football has changed over time because nowadays it's all PPR leagues where
that's right. You're right.
Really stacking up points for catching a ball for negative yards. It's unbelievable to me. And back in the day, it was touchdown only leagues where you were just getting points if you were scoring.
And then it became the 1 point every 10 yards, the 1 point every 15 yards.
Sure, yeah.
That's what makes fantasy football good because you can't just go on ESPN and see that Le'Veon Bell is the best running back in the NFL and just pick Le'Veon. You have to look at the facts. If I'm in a PPR league, I'm picking Saquon first. And I'll tell you why I'm picking Saquon first. Because Saquon's a beast. The man has tree trunks for freaking legs. Like, imagine me on someone's quad made out of muscle. And he's got two of them.
Yeah.
Saquon goes first. That's off the bat. You?
No doubt. I agree. Saquon, I just picked up Fantasy Index the other day. Great magazine for any of you that plan on playing this year.
It's a great magazine for people that don't know how to play fantasy football and you want to cheat like Mark.
But Saquon number one on all those cheat sheets. And if I'm giving you my opinion, I totally agree with you. And I think PPR changes the game. And you want to, as great as a guy like Todd Gurley is, when you look at the value in fantasy of a guy like Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley or Alvin Kamara, who's catching passes out of the backfield
at least 4 or 5 times a game.
Dude, more than that.
That's a low ball.
McCaffrey's catching double digits. It's absurd. And Saquon gets to like 6 a lot of games.
Saquon is the whole team. Yeah. Saquon will run this offense. You know what? I took a gamble on Saquon last season. I didn't think with that offensive line he was going to get many yards. He proved me wrong. Game 2 against the Jaguars. It did.
Would you believe I had him on my team?
I picked him 6th.
I got him on the turnaround at 10-11. I got him and Melvin Gordon and carried me the whole way.
Speaking of Melvin Gordon, he's holding out for a new contract, and you might be looking at another Le'Veon Bell situation. So in terms of fantasy, Melvin Gordon, that's a big risk.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's one of my favorite players in the NFL, actually, but he is a risk right now in fantasy football. I would normally put him in my perfect fantasy football lineup, believe it or not, but I would agree with you. Right now, you can't. And we just touched on 2 running backs that in a PPR league. If you want me to start my lineup right now, I'll go right now. My 2 running backs in my lineup, I would have Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey.
Well, no, realistically, let's be realistic here. Actually, give me your super lineup.
A super lineup, or you want? I'll give you some sleepers afterwards. But my super lineup, I got my number one quarterback this year. I think Mahomes is just the easy choice. Like, no,
it's not that. Look at the balanced offense. It's not a run-heavy offense. They're a pass-heavy offense, and Tyreek Hill's coming back. I don't really necessarily agree with that.
Me neither.
It's unfortunate what happened, but rules are rules. So if I'm looking at it from a fantasy standpoint, which I am, Tyreek Hill is great, and it's just one of those things you got to just bite your nail. The guy has 17 40-yard touchdowns, 40-yard plus touchdowns, which is in the past 3 seasons, which is double than the guy in second with 8. And you just don't understand how how important he is to that offense. So for me personally, I'm going to go Saquon, my next running back. And it's crazy that I'm going to say this, but if I'm not getting a running back until the 4th, 5th round, maybe I look at Tariq Cohen coming out of Chicago. Tariq Cohen is an incredible back, and no matter what anyone says, the guy's a human joystick. He is Devin Hester's speed and agility in a running back body, and I think Tariq Cohen is great. But if I'm going to go quarterback, Jared Goff or Patrick Mahomes.
Jared Goff.
I like Goff, man. I think Goff is great.
I think he's a joke. I'm watching the top 100 the other day, and he's up there in the low 30s, and I'm thinking
because he went to the Super Bowl.
Did you watch the Super Bowl?
Okay, you know what? Sean McVay said in an interview, don't you say that. Sean McVay said in an interview, plain and simple, I was outcoached. Bill Belichick, that Super Bowl was the perfect example of, going against your grandpa who's been playing 30 more years than you. That was strictly Bill Belichick won that Super Bowl. Tom Brady didn't do anything. Bill Belichick outsmarted Sean McVay. He knew every play that was coming. I guarantee you throw the Rams versus the Patriots, same team, in the Super Bowl again, part 2, I think the outcome is way different. I think Gurley gets more involved. I think they stop running it inside. I think they run it outside a little bit more. They stop clogging up the holes. And I think Jared Goff lets it loose a little bit. And Belichick just had it all down. He had it going for him.
Who didn't get out coached by Bill Belichick? That'd be Doug Peterson and Nick
Coughlin.
And that's my point. I mean, I love Nick Foles. I feel like I owe my life to him as an Eagles fan. But
you owe everything to him.
But Nick Foles has never been in the conversation of what people are talking about Jared Goff right now. And he won a Super Bowl with an offense that doesn't even come close to what the Rams had last year. And he performed like that in the Super Bowl. Goff was disgraceful.
Forget the Super Bowl. The other playoff games.
Yeah.
He had a title game.
Exactly. And Goff, I agree with the coaching. Completely outcoached, and Sean McVay did not put the team in a position to win. But there's no coaching isn't when you're missing a 7-yard out route to Cooper Kupp. Like, it was disgraceful. His throws were in the dirt. They were all over the place.
Pressure.
What?
I think it was the pressure.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, maybe he's going to surprise me and come back in the big games, because you know the Rams are going to be back in the conversation, probably a bye week team with the Eagles next year, if I'm being honest.
No.
And it's going to be interesting to see what he does, but fantasy wise, I can't go with him. If you want to go with more of a sleeper quarterback, I think there's a couple viable options. I think Lamar Jackson, believe it or not,
I think he's great.
Gets you a lot of fantasy points because he can run the ball, and that play is huge in PPR leagues. Just the rushing touchdowns, the rushing yards for him. How about receivers? What do you think?
So receivers, Davante Adams. You got to go right off the bat. I think Davante Adams is the best route runner in the NFL. Easy. Xavier Rhodes even said it. They asked him who's the hardest receiver to cover. He said Davante Adams because he tell you what's coming. You know what's coming, but the way he cuts, the way Aaron Rodgers could throw over the shoulder passes, he's got a gunslinger at quarterback. That's all you need. Davante Adams is going to be one of the top receivers off the board. But obviously, Hopkins is the best wide receiver in the NFL. The guy's got magnets on his hands. It's just what it is. But if I'm going to give you my perfect lineup right now, I'm going to go Jared Goff. I'm going to go Saquon, Tariq Cohen, Davante Adams, Adam Thielen. Tight end, don't sleep on Ben Watson from New England. Love Ben Watson. Had him last year. Had Drew Brees at quarterback. Played great. And everyone knows if you have a great quarterback, he'll make you great. And I think Tom Brady makes other players great. And that's why Tom Brady is a different player. He makes the people around him better. Half of those Super Bowls, I don't even know who he had at running back. I don't even know who he had at wide receiver besides Randy Moss and Lloyd and those guys. It's just you need players who are on teams with quarterbacks who make everyone better on the team. So defense, I like the Saints. I like the Saints defense. I love the Vikings defense as usual. But, that Kansas City defense, that's going to be something special this year. And so, Mark, give me your perfect fantasy lineup before we bring on our star guest.
All right, so I'll make it somewhat realistic, the same way that you did. At quarterback, I think Deshaun Watson is another guy. I'm gonna take him.
Risky.
Him bouncing back. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I'd like to see him have a bounce back year, and he's, like you said, number one receiver in the league on his team. That is a guaranteed touchdown every single week. It feels like you add in the rushing yards. He's like a glorified Lamar Jackson. Running backs, McCaffrey is going to be one of my biggest targets. I think he's my first round back in most leagues. I think he's a great option early in drafts. If I have to pick somebody less obvious. I think one option is Miles Sanders, the Eagles running back that they drafted from Penn State this past year. Second half of the year, you watch out for this kid. He learned from Saquon Barkley, and I'm telling you, he's going to be running all over teams. And you got a guy like Jordan Howard from Chicago, the same way Tariq Cohen kind of had him as his ground and pound guy. You're going to have Miles Sanders out there now with Jordan Howard. That's going to be a lethal combo. You could maybe get both of them as a handcuff in some leagues. Receiver, I love Michael Thomas. I think he is a stud. And like you said, great quarterbacks make great players. And Drew Brees and Michael Thomas, it's like Rodgers and Adams. And it's like Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. It's going to be lethal.
But Michael Thomas has yet to show up to training camp, as he and the Saints are in a little bit of a dispute. But real quick before we move, every year the answer to this question is the Browns. And I don't know if you understand what I'm going to ask, but every year there's that team that you just don't want to draft a player from. Every year. And usually it's the Browns. But obviously this year is going to be a lot different with OBJ and Landry and David Njoku and, that Browns defense that is really, they're hungry. They want to prove something. Don't sleep on that Browns defense. But I definitely would not draft anyone, even if it's, and I hate to say this, even if it's Mike Evans. Stay away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I tend to agree.
Away from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I tend to agree. And you know what? I'll give you another one. I really do agree with that. I think Winston's confusing to me right now. They're in like quarterback purgatory right now. They don't know what to do because Winston is about to die in the NFL, and they're just trying to get a better draft pick so they can get somebody.
Winston, the Buccaneers are in that stage. I think they're in denial mode where they're like, damn, like we wasted a number one pick on this guy. We can't just sit and not play him. And they say it's like a year to prove himself, but we all know that there's nothing for Jameis Winston to prove. He's a bum. He sucks. And that's it.
I'll give you another team too, just to stay away from. And I might have to go on a rant for a minute here about one player in particular, but Miami Dolphins. I don't
know a single player on their team that's going to succeed.
And you know what the sad part is I am a diehard Ryan Tannehill fan. I think he got disrespected in this league like no other, and I loved what he did. He couldn't stay healthy, but neither can a Mariota that he's now the backup to Tennessee. And I would have loved to see him get more of a chance in Miami. I felt like they never told him you're the guy. He had Jay Cutler there for whatever reason in a quarterback competition, and you get rid of him to bring in. Don't even get me started on the absolute biggest joke of a player in the NFL in Josh Rosen. I think he is.
Whoa, don't disrespect Chosen Rosen like that.
I think he is one of the worst quarterbacks to ever come out of the NFL draft.
You know what?
To get drafted where he was, then traded to Miami, they're really going to take a shot with him like over Tannehill? I just don't get it.
He had 1 year. It was a bad year. But again, his team was the worst in the NFL. Save that. We're going to bring on a guest, my buddy Nick. Nick, come on. He's a big baseball guy. He's a New York Yankees fan just like me. What's going on, buddy?
What's going on, Logan? What's going on, Mark?
I'll slide over a little bit. Get your behind in there. What's going on? This is Nick, and he's going to be joining us today to give a little breakdown about baseball. Nick, you want to start with any hot take?
I'm going to give a very hot take, in my opinion, on the New York Yankees, my team, obviously. I'm going to make a case for DJ LeMahieu, MVP of the 2019 season in the American League. Let's start. He leads He leads all AL second basemen. This is quote unquote if you count him as a second baseman, and wins above replacement. In my opinion, that's a fairly new stat, but I think it's one.
DJ's great.
I think it's one of the more important stats, honestly.
Yeah, no. So LeMahieu won the batting title with the Rockies, and
when he won the batting title, he batted .348.
He was incredible. He
went over his last 16 that year.
Yeah, no, he was unstoppable. He was the Le Machine, as I like to call him. And I think that DJ, his hitting is really keeping the Yankees going, which is why I think this 7-game lead we had is going to become 10 again, which is why it's going to become 13, and then it's going to become 16, and on. And I think by the end of the season, for the first time, the AL East is going to be broken wide open, and that's really, really odd because we haven't seen that in years. And with that, I want to talk about the trade deadline because the Mets just pulled a 180 from shopping Thor, shopping Zach Wheeler, and now they got Marcus Stroman. What do you think about that?
I'm disgusted. I really am as a Phillies fan. And listen, I got a Stroman jersey. I love the guy. He is a stud, and the enthusiasm he pitches with, the trademark HDMH, like height doesn't measure heart. That's what he rides with, and I love it. I love the passion he plays with, and all I wanted was to see that kind of passion play postseason baseball, even if it was for the Yankees, who I'm not a fan of. I just want to see that in the postseason, and you join the biggest disgrace, the New York Knicks of the MLB.
I thought you were about to say the Yankees are the biggest disgrace. I was about to bust a cap in you.
And as a Phillies fan, I mean, did you look at the trade? They got 2 not even top 5 prospects in the Mets organization. It was like 6 and 8, I think. Neither of them top 100 MLB pipeline prospects. And as a Phillies fan, I look at it and I'm like, how could you not get that deal done? You're you're 4 games up on the Mets right now, and you just let them get Marcus Stroman when your pitching is the worst in the MLB, arguably. It was hard.
If you think the Mets or the Phillies are going to make the playoffs, you're crazy, and I'll tell you why. First of all, the Braves have that division locked up. There's no doubt. They're unbelievable. Yeah. Swanson, Acuna, Austin Riley, right off the bat, 1, 2, 3. Those are great guys. I haven't even said Freddie Freeman's name. I haven't even talked about, their rotation. I haven't even spoken about, their manager. I haven't spoken about their coaches. Like, their coaches are unbelievable. You have a World Series coach in Ron Washington, coaching guys like Ronald Acuna. It's like, and Freddie Freeman, you're asking for success. And, that's why, and, the Braves have a fresh ballpark. And, like I said, don't sleep on the Braves. But back to my original point, that NL wildcard race is so tight. There is no way between all those teams that have been red hot lately, speaking of dark horses, which we're going to mention in a bit, the San Francisco Giants have been unstoppable. They've been, I think, 18-4 in the past 21 games, or 22 games. You look at teams like the Pirates, who are about a game and a half back. And, just in general, to have a wild card being so close, you need to win every game. Like, every game counts when you're in a wild card race like that. And I don't see the Mets pulling this out because of, on paper, the Mets rotation is ridiculous, right?
Honestly, I don't think this move was for the season. I don't think the Mets have a prayer. They're like 4 or 5 games under 500. I don't think they have a prayer. Their offense doesn't have it this year. What I think they did, and I heard some information that Syndergaard, they had a trade in place for Syndergaard to the Padres. And
interesting, actually, to really see that happen.
They were getting a haul back, including Luis Arias, who's a really good shortstop, middle infield prospect for the Padres. And their plan was they were going to use some of that haul from Syndergaard to then trade for Stroman, and the deal fell through. So apparently, I would say that the Mets made that move because Stroman is under contract for another year, and they're going to do a classic Mets move and sign 3 aging veterans this offseason and try and make a run for next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Syndergaard moves at the deadline, and then they signed Wheeler to the contract.
I'll tell you what. If you think those Mets owners are going to do anything positive, you're so wrong.
Exactly.
Like, you guys have had just such an unlucky history. And I'll tell you why. You guys make dumb decisions. Like, after losing the World Series, Daniel Murphy should have got a haul in. And he's raking right now. Daniel Murphy's batting over 3. Still, he's that good. You guys just don't know who to sign. And, you're giving all your money to Matt Harvey. Like, where's he? He's got DFA'd twice now. And that National League, it sucks. Like, let's be real. The National League has 3 teams. 3 teams that really have a shot. You got the Dodgers, you have the Braves, and then you leave a third.
Chicago Cubs?
Even the Cubs, they're just not the same. 3 years ago, National League Baseball was incredible. The Nationals were hot. Oh, you know what? Even the Nationals. Poor Max Scherzer. Forget Steven Strasburg. I feel if there's any pitcher that deserves a new team and a big contract in a World Series, it's Max Scherzer. Verlander got his. Scherzer's next. And I think that the Yankees were big losers in trade deadline because there was all these rumors about getting Bauer. There were all these rumors about getting Stroman.
Dude, there's still time.
I know there's still time, but there's just something about the Yankees that if they really wanted someone, they would have gotten them already. The Yankees are a business. What's up, Nick?
If there's a time to pull the trigger and you're Brian Cashman, it's in these next 2 days, in my opinion. Cash God, there's a reason us Yankees fans call him that. He's I wouldn't
he's a manager.
Dismiss the fact that he's pulled moves off in the past that have won us World Series, and honestly, I think he may have one, up his sleeve within the next 2 days.
Like, I thought firing Joe Girardi was stupid, and it paid off completely. Aaron Boone, I think, is a great manager. I think he connects well with younger players. And also, Joe Girardi didn't like working with Cashman. And if anyone knows Cashman, he's basically a manager, but in the upper decks. And he goes, he looks at the lineups every day, and he has much of a decision in everything as the managers do. And I think that the Yankees, pride themselves in who they are. And I think that eventually we will sign someone like anyone. And the Yankees are that team to sign anyone and make them someone. Because I'll tell you what, I didn't know who Gio Urshela was. I didn't know who Gleyber Torres was. And now look at him.
Gleyber was a top prospect.
Well, he was a top prospect, but that doesn't mean I watch top prospects play baseball. Like Anthony Bennett was a top prospect in the NBA, and Jamarcus Russell was a top prospect in the NFL. Being a top prospect to me doesn't mean anything. I think it's all about proving yourself. Dansby Swanson was a top prospect coming out of college, and he had a really bad first year, like really bad.
Yeah, traded.
Yeah, we wouldn't even have had Torres if it weren't for Cashman. With that whole, trading Chapman away, him winning a World Series, and then signing back. I thought that was one of our biggest offseason moves that we've had. So, you good, Mark?
Yeah, last point. Then we're going to get into the odd man out, which this week we have a topic relating to what we've been talking about recently, but just for you guys as Yankee fans too. I mean, I don't think the Phillies are going to make any huge moves. I don't think they should. They're not a World Series contender this year. But I'll give you a couple names looking towards the deadline that I think are going to be big players. And both of them, I'm going to give you 2 left-handed arms because I think in postseason baseball, that is arguably the most important thing to have, left-handed arms. We've seen in the past Andrew Miller carry a team all the way to the World Series and he's played postseason ball for the Yankees, I believe, right? Bumgarner has done it year after year.
Madison Bumgarner was a different story in that World Series versus the Royals. I've never seen a pitcher deserve an MVP before in a World Series, but the amount of times that the Giants and Bruce Bochy threw him out there to literally they used him to shut down the Royals. He destroyed them. That was MVP for a pitcher in the World Series. But besides that, I don't think I've ever seen a MVP performance from a pitcher in a World Series.
No, it was ridiculous. And I think like just that different look from the plate, seeing the lefty come out there, it really throws hitters off in the postseason who are so locked into the typical righties they're facing. Especially like there aren't that many left-handed aces in the entire major league, and the aces are the ones throwing the most often come postseason time. So you get a lefty like that, like a Mike Minor from the Rangers. He is gonna, if he gets moved at the deadline, which I think with the Joey Gallo injury to Texas, they're gonna give up their wild card hopes and possibly move Minor for a haul. He's really gonna be a game changer for a team. Then you also look at like a Felipe Vasquez. He's the closer for the Pirates. He's another southpaw that I think he could be an Andrew Miller type who throws a lot of innings out of the bullpen on a contender. And those are the guys that come Thursday, whatever team they're on, you got to watch out.
All right, real quick before we move into odd men out, who takes on who wins in how many games? I'm going to go Yankees, Braves, Yankees in 6.
Nick?
Mark?
All right. I think the Dodgers, they're going to.
You think so?
I really believe this is the Dodgers' year. And I think it's going to be, I think the NL is just wrapped up in that sense. And I think the Yankees Astros is going to be a series for the ages this year. But
I can't wait. That's going to be an exciting series.
I have not liked what I've seen recently from the Yankees pitching staff. And I'm waiting on the deadline, but I think they need a healthy Severino, and they're not going to get it. So I have a rematch of the 2017 World Series. Astros, Dodgers get their redemption.
Real quick before Nick goes, I'm going to predict Justin Verlander goes undefeated in the playoffs, but that's just because he's been pitching unbelievable, and I think there's no one in the major leagues who can beat Justin Verlander right now. Nick, what do you think?
Well, that being said, I've given it some long thought as a Yankee fan, obviously, but I think unless the Yankees make a move before the deadline, it's going to be tough to beat the Astros. I'm not saying they can't beat them, but when you got Garrett Cole and Justin Verlander as your 1-2 punch, Charlie Morton at 3. Charlie Morton
got traded. Excuse me.
Oops. I think that it's going to be tough. That wraps up the ALDS. The ALDS is a lock with those two on them. But when it comes to the Yankees, unless they have a healthy Severino and Betances, or a Mike Minor, someone along those lines that they acquired at the deadline, I think the Astros take that series. And I think it's an Astros-Dodgers World Series, and I think the Astros win it.
I think
the winner's coming out of the AL this year.
Yeah, 100% it's going to come out of the AL. But I don't know if you've noticed, but Aroldis Chapman has been on some stuff. He has not been himself. If there's not a 4-run lead going into the game, when he goes into the game, I don't know if he's going to save the game, and that's an issue from a guy that throws 106 miles an hour. It's just you expect him to close the game out. But that brings us to our odd man out. So between the NL and the AL, top 4 teams, Mark.
Well, 5 with the odd man out. Right?
Excuse me.
Yeah. All right. So entire MLB, I'll go number 1. Right now, based on how everyone's playing. Right now, I'm going Dodgers. The way they're playing right now, I mean, I feel like every time you see somebody go on a great, like, late summer, October run, there's, like, guys coming out of nowhere, these names you've never heard of that are just lighting it up. And the Dodgers have somebody like that every single night. Will Smith, Beatty, Hyunjin Ryu he's a Cy Young contender, and
ridiculous. He's pitching lights out.
He's a journeyman that's been in the league for a while, and it's just like that's the kind of stuff that happens to a World Series team. Number 2, Astros. I got them ahead of the Yankees right now after the last couple of weeks of the way the Yankees are playing. But the Astros and Yankees are easy 2-3 for me. And that's going to be something that can flip-flop throughout the season. Once again, banking on Severino and Betances. Number 4 spot, I would have to go with the Braves. The Braves are really dominating right now. They've locked up the East as far as I'm concerned. I just watched them play a 3-game series that broke my heart this past weekend, and they just absolutely mash. Acuna is the next closest thing to Trout, in my opinion.
Acuna is great. I think Acuna is the future of Major League Baseball, and
No doubt.
I words can't even describe how good I think Ronald Acuna is, especially when he hit that grand slam in the playoffs. I thought that was that was his first, like, we're here. This is the era of Ronald Acuna Jr. And I think, guys like him, guys like Encarnacion, not Encarnacion, excuse me, Vlad Jr., young guys like that, Torres coming out of the Yankees, or Urshela, young guys. Like Aaron Judge is young.
Mhm.
We're really starting to finally see a new age in the MLB, and I think we're finally, shedding away. I don't want to say finally because I don't want to say it's a bad thing, but I it's nice to see that we're finally moving away from the Derek Jeter, A-Rod, Chipper Jones, 2000s, like mid-2000s, early 2000s age, We're starting to enter a new age in baseball.
I agree. And then speaking of new age of baseball, my 5 team with their recent play, I actually have the Red Sox. I think they're about to go on a surge after that.
They're 7 games behind.
I know, but I would still take them over a lot of the other divisions right now, including that. What?
Did you say Yankees in one of your top 5?
Yeah, I have them at 3.
Oh, good.
My odd man out, fresh off of Trevor Bauer haul into center field, the Indians. I think I like the Indians over the Twins to win that division, and I think they're 2 games back now. They're getting healthy, and that would have to be my odd man out.
All right, so Nick, let's hear what you got.
Number 1, Dodgers. They're just off the charts right now. Cody Bellinger and Max Muncy, Jock Peterson. That lineup is absolutely stacked. If there's a lineup that compares to the Yankees, if not better, it's the Los Angeles Dodgers. Along with, like you said, Hyun-Jin Ryu finally, found his home in Los Angeles, and he's having a Cy Young year. So number 1 for me, the Dodgers. 2, my New York Yankees. I have faith that, this series, they were able to get out of Boston with 1 win. They didn't get swept in 4 games. Yeah, the first 3 games were ugly.
So ugly.
It happens.
Uglier than Nick.
The Red Sox are hot. I'll give them credit. They have a good lineup, but I think the Yankees are going to turn a corner after this series, and hopefully we get Severino back before the playoffs start.
Oh, we will.
Our bullpen, is hope they stay solid. If the Yankees are firing on all cylinders like they did with an unhealthy team pretty much for the first quarter of the season, almost a third of the season, I think they could win the AL. 3 for me is the Astros. So you have Yankees Astros. Astros Yankees. I have Yankees Astros. I think their pitching is hands down the best in the AL. Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole are looking at a Cy Young award right now. One of the two, I think, in my opinion, is going to get it. I also believe they're the main reason the Astros are why they're in first place. My number 4 team, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Indians. Actually, I take that back. I'm going with the Twins. I like the Twins. They are on pace to shatter the MLB record for home runs in a season by a team. In their, I believe it was 100, in their 103rd game this year, they have hit over 200 home runs.
103 games. That's
103 games.
That's
almost double the amount of home runs.
The season's going by quick.
The Yankees set the record last year, and honestly, I think the Twins shattered that record. I think they could get to 300. They're on pace to. I don't see why not.
5?
5. I hate to say it, but I'm going to go with the Red Sox. That lineup catches fire for the rest of the year, like they did in the first 3 games against the Yankees. There's Sky's the limit for them, honestly.
And then your odd man out?
Odd man out, Braves.
Braves. Wow. Braves. That is.
I like Soroka, young pitcher on the mound. He's a stud. He's potentially looking at a Cy Young too. Ronald Acuna is the best young talent that this game has to offer. But I think the Dodgers come out of the NL. I think the Yankees or the Astros, like I said before, come out of the AL, and that's my top five. My odd man out, the Braves.
You know what? I gotta really got to disagree with you guys. Well, not so much per se, but so to start off the bat, I got to go with the Houston Astros, and that's just because I don't know if Correa's been in or he's still hurt, but they've been doing a lot without Carlos Correa, and I think Carlos Correa is one of their best hitters, and they still have Jose Altuve. They still have what's that guy's name? He didn't start out in the actual majors. He's been hitting a lot of home runs.
Bregman?
No, not out.
Alvarez.
Yes, Alvarez. Alvarez has been really great. Bregman, George Springer, Altuve. That whole infield, they just have such chemistry, and that whole outfield such chemistry, and to have a lineup that you could toss out 4 different pitchers in 4 games and have as much confidence as you do the first day and the 4th day, that's something huge. You look at a team like the 2009 Yankees, we could throw out CeCe, then we could throw out AJ Burnett, and then we could throw out, like Phil Hughes on day 3 or Andy Pettit. Yeah, Pettit. Day 4, we could throw out Phil Hughes if we really wanted to. With this Astros lineup, you have Verlander. Then the day after, you have Garrett Cole, and then the day after that, and then the day after that, it's just you have more pitching on pitching. So I'm gonna go Astros number 1. I got to go Dodgers number 2. 645 winning percentage, best team in the MLB. I still think Yelich is gonna win the MVP, and I stand behind that. I know he's just a tank. I love Bellinger, but I think Bellinger needs to, stop hitting home runs, and I think he's got to field better. He's had some guns. Bellinger's got a gun. Like, I'm not going to deny that. He's got a great swing. I just think that he needs to step up his game a little bit in terms of, making defensive plays, but the ball's not normally hit to him all the time. So, yeah, Dodgers 2. I'm going to go the New York Yankees at number 3. Our pitching's been a little shaky, and, I touched up on that a lot. But it's okay. We're up 7 games. I think Boone's going to talk to the guys. He's going to sit him down. Urshela hasn't stopped. I don't know if you've seen Urshela play yesterday, but he was locked in on Chris Sale. Like, Chris Sale's balls would break, and Urshela would drive it. It was just there was just no stopping him. And then number 4, the Atlanta Braves. This team's full of young talent: Austin Riley, Swanson, Acuna. That's just 3. And then you have some veterans like Josh Donaldson, Nick Markakis. 2 reliable guys. And I think Freddie Freeman. I think Donaldson has really revived his career here. And you got guys like Dallas Keuchel, who people forget about him, but he's still Dallas Keuchel. He's still that guy that eliminated the Yankees in the wild card 3 years ago. That's still him. Ozzy Albies. I love him. He's an athletic second baseman. Adam Duvall in left field. I think Adam Duvall is great. And Charlie Culberson at third base. He's always been a great hitter. And then you have a veteran, Brian McCann, at catcher. And I think Brian McCann being on that team, I know this sounds weird, but I think having a veteran like that is really the anchor to your team. And so Braves at 4. And then at 5, this is where I think it gets a little, toss up. But really don't sleep on the Cubs. And I know that they're not the team that they used to be. But, they're in a great division. The 1, 2, 3 teams in that division are the Cubs, Cardinals, and Brewers. And the Brewers have, the Brewers have a better record than most of the second-place teams, or all the second-place teams in the NL. And then 6, here's where it, for me, I hate saying this, but the Sox.
Yeah.
And I hate saying it, but the Sox are always that team that you can't count them out until you hear that they are out of playoff contention. And it scares me to say that, but I think in next week they may not be the odd man out. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah. So 3 different views, 3 different odd man outs here. If you guys want to tell us your odd man out, DM us on Instagram, hit us with follows. As I said before, drop a like, drop a subscription on the YouTube page at @MarkandGraham_podcast. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, hit us up on all platforms right there on the like. So we are on the way back to football, and we're going to talk about the Giants and Eagles. Every segment we gotta have something. Talk about Philly and New York a little bit. So Mark, let me give you 3 minutes to rant about your Eagles.
This is what I've been waiting for. Somehow I got through the entire first episode of the Mark and Graham podcast without really mentioning my birds at all. But
Looks like a garbage to me.
This is a weird year to be an Eagles fan because I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to NFL preseason rankings and whatnot, Madden rankings, whatever you look at. But the Eagles are getting a lot of popularity this year after an incredible offseason. And people have them as a top Super Bowl contender, which is a weird feeling for a team that rides on being an underdog.
Hey, bud. The only good part about the Eagles is looking at Julie Ertz on the sideline. That's really about it.
And Pat's King of Steaks.
And Pat's King Steaks in Philadelphia. That's about it.
That's about it.
You guys are from New York if you got Pat's but looking at this team, their offseason was really crazy. A lot. Yes. I'm telling you, look at what they added. Malik Jackson, a Super Bowl winner, defensive end. They added Deshaun Jackson, who, speaking of fantasy lineups, he is a sleeper you want to add with Carson Wentz throwing him the deep ball.
Him and Tyreek Hill, same exact type.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical players. Tyreek Hill's a lot faster, obviously, and he's a lot fresher.
Younger, yeah.
But Deshaun Jackson's that guy that will have a 98-yard touchdown.
And then they added J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in the draft. He's a stud receiver, going to be nice. As I mentioned earlier, Miles Sanders, Jordan Howard, Corey Clement, a Super Bowl winner, huge Super Bowl winning catch, you could argue. Darren Sproles they just brought back. The offense doesn't end there. It's Zach Ertz with Dallas Goedert, almost every team in the NFL he would start on besides the Chiefs. It's actually ridiculous that they have. They're going with, I hate to bring up his name, Aaron you-know-who from the Patriots and Rob Gronkowski. That kind of a setup is lethal in the NFL. Then their defense, they got their safeties returning healthy, Malcolm Jenkins, Rodney McLeod. They added a guy in Zach Brown from the Redskins at middle linebacker, their weakest position. This team is really stacked at every position. And if you took out their number one player at each position, except for quarterback, because it's quarterback, they're still better than a lot of teams in the NFL, which is wild.
And depth is key in this league.
Depth is key in the NFL. And, we're going to talk about a really depressing situation real quick. The New York Giants. As a Giant fan, we haven't had much luck. As a Knicks fan, I haven't had much luck either. So I guess if I'm going to talk about one thing, it's going to be the Giants. Daniel Jones at 6? He would have been there at 17, yo. When they make his pick, I said to myself, if Daniel Jones is not the next John Elway, David Gettleman is going to get a you-know-what in his you-know-what. And I think that you have Josh Allen, a pass rusher that you need. You could get Daniel Jones at 17. But listen, That was a Manning pick. That was a thank you, Eli Manning pick.
He looks like Eli. He looks like him. He's a cross between Eli Manning and the Spork from Toy Story. It's absurd. I'm telling you, you're exactly right. It was a pick that the Manning family groomed. They said, we are going to give our life to Eli Manning for winning us 2 Super Bowls and not take Dwayne Haskins. And it's just, I think you can't rule him out yet, but as a Giants fan, it's got to be frustrating because Dwayne Haskins, I think, has a way brighter future.
So with that, we're going to finish up with the Mark and Graham of the day. And I'll go first. My Graham of the day goes to Taco Fall for getting signed by the Boston Celtics after going undrafted, after clearly proving himself in the tournament, in the league. Is it risky to pick a guy that big? Yes. But from a guy who has seen him, from a guy who has talked to him in person, he is an animal. This man, if Boban gets a chance, why can't Taco Fall? The league didn't really know how to manage guys like that back then. You look at guys like Manute Bol, 7'8", guys like Dikembe Mutombo, Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem, they're really a hit or miss in this league. Big, lengthy, tall guys are truly a hit or miss in the NBA. And I think we're looking at a time where lengthy, tall players are thriving. Look at Giannis, look at Kevin Durant. And I'm not comparing Kristaps. I'm not comparing Taco Fall to them. I'm just saying how having height like that is just truly something special. And I think that no matter how long you have it for, I think you need to take advantage of it. And for any team that has Taco Fall for a year, even if he plays 5 minutes a game, for those 5 minutes he's in, it is game-changing what he does. And that's how I'm going to end. Taco Fall, you are my Graham of the day. Congratulations.
All right, Mark of the day. I hate to go Philly on you guys in the last 2 segments of the show, but turn it around.
Oh,
Ben Simmons, my man. Ben Simmons getting the huge contract, but not just doing that. If you follow him on Instagram, he's been working hard in the gym. Videos came out of him in a scrimmage with the likes of Devin Booker and Andrew Wiggins, NBA talent on the court, and he is pulling up from deep. He's fading away. He's shooting threes and splashing them. And I honestly, if I'm fearful for the rest of the NBA if Ben Simmons develops a jumper because this Sixers roster, you are looking at the next Magic Johnson paired with the next Hakeem Olajuwon and Al Horford and Tobias Harris.
Statement, but I respect it.
I just don't understand this. What makes you think replacing Jimmy Butler with Al Horford is going to make you guys better?
No, that's not necessarily the case, but financially they couldn't make everybody happy enough to bring back the same team from last year, and instead
Tobias Harris $170 million because he deserves it, right?
No, but what they did do is position themselves to beat the Celtics, who now no longer have Horford.
Now,
I think that was such a key part of their offseason.
Now, to wrap this up, do you think? I know there were some talks about possibilities of moving on from Joel Embiid. Do you think the fact that they didn't do that was because of this whole trust the process thing and how they invested in him for so long that why would they trade him? Do you agree that maybe they should have let Joel Embiid go?
No way. I think he's top 7 player in the NBA, and I think he's the best athlete in Philadelphia right now, if I'm being honest. And I'm happy with what they did, and I think really what the process was all along is holding a guy out for a year and letting them develop because there was no reason to push it and letting them see a year. And look, after they drafted Joel Embiid, I wanted Porzingis. I was upset because I wanted a guy that could play right then. And I look back and I'm just like, wow, like that pick hopefully is what transcends this team and this city.
Well, that is an interesting take, and I, now that you say it, the whole point of beating the Celtics, which you couldn't do, I think that's a great point, and I think that the East is truly busted open. I really don't think there's a set seed besides maybe one to three, 1 to 2, maybe the one's not even locked up. Doesn't matter.
Wait till the Brooklyn Nets have KD.
Yeah, wait till the
Kyrie.
We're gonna wait for that. But that's all the time we have for the day. Nick, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Grant, for having me.
This was the second episode.
I look forward to being back.
This was the second episode of the Mark and Graham podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on YouTube at Mark and Graham @MarkandGraham_podcast. Mark, you have any finishing remarks?
No, just it's been fun as always. And please, listeners, get interactive with us. Answer our poll questions. Like our social media. Respond. You don't just have to agree with us. Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us what you think. Because that's what makes all of our worlds go round, and that's what sports debate is about and why we watch sports.
Tell me why DJ LeMahieu shouldn't be MVP.
There you go.
With that, I'm Logan Semegram along with my partner, Mark D'Aquila, and we will see you guys next Sunday.
All right, peace.